Welcome to our Power Automate tutorial. Today, we will show you how to automate MS Excel tasks using Power Automate. Today, we will open multiple Excel files, copy data from each of them, close all those files, and paste that data into a single file, and then save that file to our computer, all by pressing a single button. So let's go ahead and see how it is done. Suppose we receive daily sales data from all regions, and we place those files here. We have an Excel file, where all these files will be consolidated, placed in this folder named Original. We will create a copy of that file, and place it in the consolidated folder, and then we will consolidate all regions into that file. And we will perform all these operations through Power Automate desktop application. This is the home screen of the Power Automate. Here you will find samples and tutorials to start with the Power Automate. You will find all your automations in the Flows page. You can click on the new flow to create a new automation. This will display the Build a Flow window, where you have to enter the name of your automation. Let's call ours Regional Sales. After choosing a name for your automation, click on the Create button. This will create a flow for you and place it in the list of flows. Then Power Automate will attempt to load the flow. We are creating a desktop flow. You can also create cloud-based flows. It all depends on what you want to automate. Now we can add our desired actions and automate desktop applications here. Let's start by creating a variable named Original File Location. In the default value field, we will enter the path where the original file is located. You can use the same name for internal and external variable name. After creating the variable, click on the Save button to save the variable. Similarly, create another variable to store the path where you will keep the consolidated file. Copy the path of the folder and paste it in the default value field. And click on the Save button to save the variable. Create another variable to save the path of folder, where you will keep the files received from the regional offices. Again, copy the path and paste it in the default value field, and click on the Save button to save the variable. Now you can use these variables in multiple places in your flow, and you do not have to put these values again and again. There are two types of flows. This is the main flow. You can also create subflows. Let's create a new subflow to prepare the consolidation file. Enter a name for your new subflow, and click on the Save button to create the subflow. The subflow has been created. Now we have to add some actions to automate our process. First of all, we will need the current date and time. We can get current date and time using Get Current Date and Time action. The resulting current date and time will be stored in the variable produced, which you can use later. All variables created and stored as result of flows will be placed here, under Flow Variables. We need the current date and time, because we will save the file with date and time in the file name, as well as in the heading. Let's use the Convert Date and Time action to create the file name for our consolidated file. You can locate actions using the search bar in the top left corner, or by navigating through the list of actions. In this field, we will enter the current date and time we created and stored in the variable previously. Next, we can either choose a default format or create our own format using the Custom option. Let's select Custom to create a custom format. We will save our file by the name of Total Sales, followed by current date in year, month, and day format. The result will be saved in the variable produced. Let's call it Consolidation File Name. Save the variable to use it later. Now we need to copy the consolidation file from original folder to the consolidated folder, for which we will use the Copy File action. First we will enter the path of the folder where the original file is located. This path was saved in a variable, which we can use here. followed by the name of the original file that we want to copy. Then we will enter the location of the folder where we want to copy this file to. We have also stored this location in a variable, which we would use here. In case the file already exists, we would like to overwrite that file, therefore we will select the overwrite here. The attributes of copied file will be saved in the variable produced. Let's call it the consolidation file. Let's save the copy file action now. After copying the file, we need to rename the file and include the current date and time in the file name. In the rename file action, first we will select the file we want to rename, and here we can use the consolidated file variable previously produced. In the rename scheme field, we will select the set new name option to rename the file with a new name. In the new file name, we will use the file name we saved in a variable that also contains current date and time. Turn off this feature if you want to add a new extension, however we will keep the existing file extension. Again, we will overwrite if a file already exists with this name. The attributes of resulting file will be saved in the variable produced. Let's call it renamed consolidation file. And click on the Save button to save the action. Before moving forward, let's run this subflow to check if everything works fine. The subflow has run without any error. It must have copied the file in the original folder to the consolidated folder here with our given file name. However, as you can see, there are some problems with the file name. And that is because we did not use inverted commas while typing total sales. And some of the characters were replaced by the values they represent, such as small s, which represents seconds. Using inverted commas will display the text as it is. Let's run the subflow again and check if it is working fine or not. And as you can see, the issue has been resolved now. Let's delete these files and go back to our automation. Now that we have created an Excel file, let's open this file using the Launch Excel action. Since we have already created a file, we will open that instead of a blank document. Here we will enter the path where that file exists. Then we will add the name of the file that we want to open. Just like the path to the file, we have also stored the name of the file in a variable that we will use here. And finally, we will add the file extension here. We will make the Excel file visible, and since we want to edit the file, we will not turn on the read-only option. In the advanced section, you can provide username and password if file is protected. Finally, we have the variable through which we can access our Excel instance. Let's rename this variable and save the Launch Excel action. Now we can run and test this subflow and see if the Excel file opens or not. The flow has completed successfully without any error, and the Excel file has also opened, but it is in the background, whereas we want it to be displayed on the screen where we can see it. To do that, we can use the Focus Window action. We can use a number of methods to capture a window. However, since we already have the Excel instance, we will use that here. Let's save the action and test the flow now. And as you can see, the Excel file has been opened and it is in focus now. Now, let's close this Excel file and go back to our automation window. This subflow is now complete. Now we can add this subflow to the main flow. There is a Run Subflow action through which we can add any subflow to the main flow. Let's add this action to the main flow. And here we will select the Prepare Consolidation File subflow we just created. Now our subflow has been added to the main flow, and there is no need to run the subflow separately. We can simply click on the Run button, which will run all added subflows in sequence. Now, it is time to open all files received from regions one by one, and copy their data into the consolidation file. Let's create another subflow and call it Copy Data. Here we will open all files one by one, and copy their data to the main consolidation file. So first of all, we will get all files, using the Get Files in a Folder action. In the folder field, we will enter the path to our files, which we have stored in a variable. Here we will enter the extension of our files, which is xlsx. This will make sure that any other file placed in that folder is not opened. We will not include the subfolders. And also we will not make any changes to the advanced options. As a result of this action, all files in that folder will be listed here in the files variable. Now we can access each file one by one and copy data to our consolidation file. To get these files one by one, we will use a for each loop. Add the for each loop to the subflow and select files variable generated in the get files in folder action. Rename the resulting variable to file and save the for each loop. Now all the copy and paste operations will be added inside this loop, and will run in sequence on all files. Inside the for each loop, first of all we will open Excel file, using the launch Excel action. Since the Excel document already exists, therefore we will use the existing file, instead of playing document. And in the document path field, we will enter the full name of file variable. The file variable will contain the path to the current file in the files list of each loop. We will not make changes to any other options, except renaming the resulting variable to current region file. In its current configuration, this for each loop will open all files placed in the data folder. Now that we can open files, we need to copy data from them. Each region has 3 stores, which means there are 3 rows and 2 columns to copy. We can use the Read from Excel worksheet action to read this data from currently opened file. In the Excel instance, we will select the current region file variable, produced as a result of launch action. In the Retrieve options, we will choose the Select from a range option. Then we will simply enter the start and end rows and columns. We don't have to make changes to any other advanced settings. Let's rename the produced variable to current region file data, and click on the Save button to save the action. Make sure that all actions are placed inside the for each loop. Now that we have copied the data from the file, we don't need it anymore. Therefore, using the Close Excel action, let us close this Excel file without saving changes. In the current configuration, our for each loop will open each file, copy its data, and will close the file without saving any changes. Now we need to paste this data into the consolidation file, for which we will use the Write to Excel sheet action. First we will select the consolidation file instance. Then we will select the variable produced by the Read from Excel sheet action, which contains our copied data. We'll paste our data in a specific cell, therefore we will select specific cell in the Write mode. And then we will enter the column and row number of the specific cell. And here we have a problem. If we paste all data in the same specific cell, it will override previous data every time the new data is copied. This solution is quite simple. We will simply create a variable named row counter. The variable will be a number. The initial value of the variable will be 3. Now we will simply save this variable. This variable is now available here. In the Write to Excel sheet action, instead of hard-coding a specific row number, we will use the row counter variable. Simply using a static variable is not enough. We need to increase this variable after each iteration. We can use the increase variable action for that. First, let's select the row counter variable. And then we need to provide a number by which this variable needs to increase after each iteration. The number by which this variable needs to increase should be greater than the total number of rows you are copying. Our copy data subflow is now complete. Let's go back and add this subflow to the main flow. We have successfully automated our data consolidation process, and only one thing is left now, and that is to save the final consolidate file. To do that, we can use the Save Excel action. We simply need to select the consolidated Excel file instance here. Now, Let's save our automation process as well. Now let's run the flow and see if it works or not. Everything worked exactly as we wanted. In the next tutorial, we will show you how to automatically email this data to your boss, once it has been consolidated and saved into your computer. Thanks for watching. We hope you liked our tutorial. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insightful tutorials and updates.